اجلاس بین المللی روز جهانی زن در پاریس.
سخنرانی‌های وایراویک فریبرگا، اولین رئیس جمهور زن لتونی 1999 تا 2007.
دکتر روزالیا سرانو، معاون و رئیس جمهور اکوادور 1997. آنا الینا اچوریا، معاون رئیس جمهور کاستاریکا 2014 تا 2018. آنلی یتمنکی، اولین نخست وزیر فنلاند 2003، وزیر دادگستری 1994 تا 1995.
میشل آلیوماری، وزیر ارشد دولت فرانسه 2009 تا 2011، وزیر پیشین خارجه، کشور، دفاع و دادگستری.
نجات والو بالقاسم، وزیر آموزش عالی و تحقیقات فرانسه 2014 تا 2017، وزیر حقوق زنان، امور شهر، جوانان و ورزش 2012 تا 2014.
اینگرید بتانکور، کاندیدای پیشین ریاست جمهوری کلمبیا.
پرزیدنت وایرا فریبرگا، شما پیروز خواهید شد، همین کسانی که اینجا نشستند و برای پیروزی خلق و ملت شما تلاش کرده و زحمت کشیدند. شما باید پیروز شوید، زیرا بشریت نمیتواند به خود اجازه دهد که شما را از دست بدهد.
Chère Madame Majabi, distingués invités et participants, ladies and gentlemen, I come with greetings from my country, Latvia, which knows all about tyranny, knows all about oppression, and this is why I'm happy to be here and greet you in this day for women and for those who resist against tyranny. My country was the victim of theocratic authoritarianism. It has been since the Middle Ages. In the 12th century, a pope in Rome declared a crusade, not in the Holy Land, but against the last pagans in Europe. The Baltic peoples, the Baltic tribes, of whom I am as a descendant, were these last pagans in Europe. And Christianity was brought to us with fire and sword, the taking of our lands and the reducing our people to slavery in the form of serfdom, the denigration of our culture, of our language, and of our ethnicity. And I'd like to tell to you, ladies and gentlemen, men and women, the flame of freedom, when it burns in your heart, inevitably leads to liberation and to getting a milieu, a country, a system that recognizes we are all human beings equal under nature and God. Nobody is privileged to have a special line to heaven, a special communication, a telephone line to the Supreme Being himself or herself, as it happens. But the flame of freedom is what maintains the will to be the human being that the Creator has made us. And it is not the imposition of Holy Scripture interpreted by certain individuals in their own particular individual way, but the direct contact with any kind of sense of the sacred, of the numinous, that everybody should have the right to have. And this is part of the freedom of conscience that we have when a state does not put religion as part of its structure. Separation of church and state is a fundamental requirement. A recognition of the equality of every human being since the moment of birth, since the first breath they take, that every human being is equal before nature and before God, and it is a crime against humanity to oppress them in any way for any reason. You will prevail, those who sit here and who have been working and laboring for the freedom of your people and your nation. You must prevail because humanity cannot afford to lose you. You will prevail, just keep up the courage. My people had to wait a long time for freedom, but we finally got it because we never forgot that we wanted it. Good luck to you all.
دکتر روزالیا آرتگا سرانو، معاون و رئیس جمهور اکوادور 1997. ما چندین رهبر از نقاط مختلف جهان صدایمان را بلند کرده ایم تا جامعه جهانی را فرا بخوانیم، سکوت و انفعال را کنار بگذارند و از مبارزات زنان و مردم ایران حمایت کنند تا در این کشور اجرای کامل آزادی‌ها شامل جدایی دین و دولت تحقق یابد. شورای ملی مقاومت ایران به رهبری خانم مریم رجوی شجاعت و بینش را در مبارزه خود برای تحکیم حقوق همه به ویژه زنان در ایران نشان داده است. شعار آن میتوان و باید بیانگر احساسات یک جامعه ستم دیده در جستجوی حقوق خود است.
Thank you. Dear Madame Mariam Rajavi, dear Excellencies, women of Iran, men of Iran, this is my first time here, but I cannot forget what's happening in Iran and in other parts of the world. The essence of human being is freedom, the ability to make one's own decision as long as they do not affect others. History in different latitudes, countries, and continents tell us of the need to work for equal rights and options for all, regardless of sex, race, social, or economic status. In this sense, I have been a fervent defender of women's rights from an early age, feeling that being a man does not generate rights by itself, and even worse, the possibility to oppressing others. I suffered in my flesh the political discrimination in my country, Ecuador, and I do not want any woman to suffer it. That's why I have joined the call of those who fight in protest against the situation of women in Iran, who have been stigmatized, violated, and are suffering imprisonment, torture, and death just for the fact of wanting to exercise their freedoms, which go through the rejection of the forced usage of the veil, and that has to do with the ability to exercise public, professional, business, cultural functions, establishing still in this third decade of the 21st century the ominous division of first and second-class citizens. Therefore, several leaders from different parts of the world have raised our voices to call on the international community to leave aside silence and inaction and support the fights of women and the people of Iran to achieve this country the full exercise of freedoms that includes the separation of church and state. I want to tell you that I resigned when I was Minister of Education the position to defend the separation of church and religion and state. As well as the concretion of democratic values that include the separation, the abolition of death penalty, as well as absolute equality between men and women. The National Council of Resistance of Iran, led by Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, has shown courage and vision in its fights for the consolidation of rights for all, especially for women in Iran. Its slogan, "We can and must," reflects the feeling of an oppressed community in the search of their rights. The need to advocate for women's rights in Iran cannot be postponed, which will serve to create, in Mrs. Rajavi's own words, opportunities for women to make autonomous choices, to achieve the right to employment, free choice of profession, and other rights. Misogyny cannot be a state policy, nor an acceptable practice by any society in the world, nor can women be considered as slaves or men. Women have demonstrated through history our capabilities. We have contributed greatly to the invention and advances in science, the arts, literature, and governance. So it is unacceptable that obstacles are still established for the full development of our faculties and capabilities. The guarantee access to all rights for women, the exercise of democracy is required, with an independent judiciary which ensures the exercise of the right that benefits all citizens. It's in this sense that I come to raise my voice and testify with my presence my support for the women of Iran and all of the countries where they are subjugated. From Latin America, and particularly from Ecuador, the country in the middle of the world, I want to express my solidarity with the women and the people of Iran. Thank you very much.